everybody, SONGOSHUAKU'S here, and welcome to this solo audio review for Dragon Ball Super, Episode 129, Limit Surpassed, Ultra Instinct Mastered. And yes, once again, I am doing a solo review because the Linux virus was unable to join me due to his busy work schedule, but hopefully he will be back for episode 130. Without further ado, let's get right into this episode. So things basically kick off, starting the tension basically, as Magate no Gokui Omen Son Goku is staring down Jiren while everyone in the bleachers is basically watching. We even get some cool feedback from Whis, who basically gives a really cool dialogue about how this is it. This is what everything is riding on with Son Goku, as his Magate no Gokui form is indeed the last hope. So, the fight gets started with Son Goku and Jiren colliding fists, and then the entire, or I should say what's left of the fighting stage starts blowing up, and these guys are going at it like super blazing fast speeds, just going at it like crazy. Like, I guess they're trying to represent a lot more speed than we've ever seen already in Dragon Ball, but the power starts blowing up most of the arena. So Son Goku goes for this punch at Jiren, and then it basically blows up another giant portion of the arena. Anybody remember when they said that this was made of material harder than the one that the Z sword was made out of? I forget what it was. It called the Kashin? I forgot what it is. Forgive me. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, obviously the Grand Priest and all the angels need to find some more stronger material. But anyway, Goku basically goes for a punch against Jiren. Jiren dodges, of course. Jiren then goes for a punch of his own, followed up by Son Goku sort of, I think, doing like a forward flip over the arm, and then Goku tries to come back, I think with a back spinning fence. Jiren dodges it, and the impact basically blows up all the rocks from behind, and then from there Jiren uses his eyes. Now, we've seen this technique quite a bit, where Jiren basically, usually when there's a big threat, he uses his eyes, and he's able to just throw it back. So he starts using his eyes to basically shoot a huge barrage of punches towards Son Goku, and yeah, Goku's able to avoid it. So from there, both men go ahead and they do this sort of strange animation where Goku and Jiren are basically still frames, and the only things moving is these clashing of these arms near them, and they're trying to take each other back with those, and yeah, I guess it's just basically to represent how fast they're moving. But eventually Jiren has Son Goku being pushed back with all these barrage of punches. So from there, the Kaioshins of Universe 7 start to basically point out that despite being in his Magate no Gokui form, Son Goku doesn't seem to be landing a hit on Jiren. And basically from there, Whis ends up chiming in, basically stating about how Son Goku, even though he's really good with the defensive part, just like when he fought Kelphila, his attack, it's basically weakened in terms of the attack. Like, he hasn't mastered the attack portion of Magate no Gokui, so that's the reason why he's still struggling with Jiren. And it gets to the point where basically at this point, Whis is just hoping that maybe without draining enough stamina, he has enough stamina to hold out for the remaining, what is it, like, I think 2 minutes of this fight, I mean of the what's left of the Tournament of Power, so that way they can basically beat Jiren, you know, because obviously him and Frieza are still there. So from here, you know how in Dragon Ball Super, I've stated a lot, they seem to really like to focus on a lot of nostalgia, going back to the to Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Well, here they do their own nostalgia, even for something as most recent as Dragon Ball Super. We get a callback to the Kelphila fight that we just saw several weeks ago. So basically, Son Goku starts charging up the Kamehameha. So he jumps to one rock and he's like, Kah! And then from there, Jiren shoots another blast. Goku dodges onto another rock. And then basically shoots another blast. Goku dodges to another rock. And then he goes ahead and repeats again. And then he basically gets right in front of Jiren's face and unleashes And from there, I mean, you have everyone, the Xenos are basically marking out, you know, pretty much kind of like I'm pretty sure how a lot of us are here at home. You know, they're going like, ha! And kaboom! Instinct's amazing! Goku's super amazing! And, I mean, this is a big-time Kamehameha that is super flashy, but, of course, once you hear that theme hit, which I believe is what, it's Jiren's Tremendous Strength. I could be wrong. Once again, correct me in the comments. I know the Dragon Ball Super, soundtracks just dropped recently. If it's on there, I gotta check it out. But yeah, that theme hits when you know Jiren is about to make a huge comeback and just completely down everything. I mean, when it hits Cruden's face of disappointment, you knew exactly what was going on. And that is that Jiren has stopped Son Goku's Ultra Instinct Kamehameha. And I'm gonna be honest, to be quite frank, I actually thought that this was gonna be the part. I was like, wow, you know, based on the preview, I assumed that this is probably the part where Son Goku basically goes into his completed Ultra Instinct / Magate no Gokui form. Of course, that would not be the case, but yeah, it just once again goes to testament, just like how Lennox was talking about, they're very well at the way they show these preview episodes, because this was like the kind of move we thought would be what would trigger Goku's completed form of Magate no Gokui. But I'll get more into that later on in this review about the way they ended up going in a different direction. So yeah, but basically it's just the point is I was very shocked to see this so early into the episode. Like I was expecting it to happen probably the very end. But moving on, Toppo then states, Jiren, Son Goku's movements and the depth of his power. With a single fight and by observing the battle with Kefla, he already saw through it all. And this, of course, is referring to Jiren, who then basically goes ahead and does an upward, he basically sends Goku upwards into a fiery blast, you know, that whole fire fence that he does, but Goku does manages to escape it. And basically Teen Shinha, the way he puts it, he explains that Son Goku was able to avoid a direct hit by using the flow of his Kamehameha as a barrier. So I'm going to take this opportunity to actually point out something that I love that they've been doing this more often in the later episodes here in the Tournament of Power. I'm pretty sure we've all read manga and watched anime, or if you prefer to pronounce it as anime, where you get to the point, you see one character, you know, explains his secrets or what his plan is, and yes, it helps us, the audience, understand the story better, but then you kind of look at it as like a logic hole in the story. Like, why would you ever tell the person that and try and give them any reason to basically, you know, come up with a plan? So I really like the idea here in the Tournament of Power, how you have the characters who are on the bleachers explaining the strategies, explaining what's going on, explaining the techniques of the characters, and not Goku or Jiren explaining what they're trying to do, or you block this because I was able to, you know, able to do this particular thing, but if you were able to do that, you know, you might be able to stop me, but I'm not gonna let you go to that. No, I like it when it's the characters who are not in the fight explaining that, so that way we, the audience, basically understand the story better, but the characters themselves in the fight aren't explaining that, and it helps, and it doesn't create a logic issue. So I just wanted to basically give shout out to the writers in Dragon Ball Super for doing this a lot more. I like, especially you get it with Whis a lot, the way he breaks down and explains everything. Like, it's always really cool. So yeah, with Goku and Jiren not doing much talking at all, this leads to one of my favorite moments in the bleachers, where you basically have Belmont start talking trash. He's saying, there's no need to fear. In this situation, no matter how good his defense is, he can't win if his offense is no good. Then after Universe 11's Angel and Kaioshin, I think his name is Kahai, he makes statements about agreeing with Bellmon. Bellmon then says, incomplete Ultra Instinct is merely a futile resistance to delay defeat. And then you have Vegeta, who comes and shuts him down quick by saying,
what utter rubbish. Incomplete, you say? That means there is something that lies beyond his current power. To ignore that and decide the outcome. Since when do gods become so hasty?
So Bellmon steps up, and after Kahai basically asks Vegeta what he means, you have Bellmon who comes in saying, are you saying he'll master instinct from now and surpass Jiren? Impossible! Talk about rubbish! Vegeta then stands up and says,
what makes you so sure?
So, basically, this is a cool scene where we, flashbacks of the Saiyajins overcoming their limits are playing. You have Vegeta basically saying,
in this tournament of power, in this limited time, we Saiyans have broken through our limits time and time again.
And then he directly looks at Bellmon, who is starting to get annoyed, and he says,
you see it too.
At this moment, while SONGOSHUAKU'S is falling, his body begins to start glowing even more, indicating that he is once again further surpassing his limits, just as Vegeta has stated. And it's right here that you really tell Vegeta gets under Bellmon's skin, because he starts now with concern in his voice. He looks worried and he yells,
Jiren! End it already! Knock him! Knock Son Goku off now!
Man, I love this scene. Vegeta just flat out shutting Bellmon down. You know, this reminds me of that moment, I forget what episode was it. Was it episode 127? Yeah, it was episode 127 that me and the Linux virus did, and it was Linux who said this.
In this episode, they have Jiren say, Bellmon, that's enough. And like the bitch he is, Bellmon, shut the fuck up.
And I could just imagine this is probably what he would say for this scene, because Vegeta shut Bellmon down. I love it, man. You know, Vegeta just shutting, owning a god, you know, that's really cool. So it's nice to see that they're still giving Vegeta some cool moments, even though he's now just been resorted to being a spectator. So getting back to the action from here, Jiren starts doing one of those flaming fists things, and he jump charges at Son Goku, and it's at this moment that Vegeta basically yells out,
Kakaroto! I've placed my pride, my promise, everything in your hands. Your defeat is unacceptable. Step out of the state of the gods and defeat Jiren, Kakaroto!
So at this moment, Son Goku is able to stop himself midair. Despite Zeno's rules, it's whatever at this point, honestly. Zeno makes the rules up as he goes along, I guess. But yeah, he is able to do a huge power-up with his aura, and this stops Jiren completely. Now, Goku, after this, takes what I guess was basically a deep breath, but the way, and I love Masako Nozawa, I really do, but the way she made Goku sound here, I was like, my initial thought at first was, is he snoring? Is Goku really falling asleep? Because it kind of sounded like, and I'm like, what a way to really put down Jiren's power. Is that at this point Jiren's so boring, he's putting Migate no Goku Son Goku to sleep. Wow, step your game up, Jiren. But, no, he was taking a deep breath, though. And I emphasize once again, I love Masako Nozawa's work as Son Goku. It's just, I thought because his eyes was closed and he sounded like, I thought he was about to fall asleep and they were gonna bury Jiren's power or something like that for a second there. Alright, so this is basically where the episode really starts to pick up in terms of visuals. You get Goku and Jiren start descending, and Jiren's the first one to land, and then from there Goku like does a forward flip and bam! Jiren like punches him back, and Goku sliding to the back, goes through a bunch of rocks, and then he basically comes out of the rocks and Goku shakes it off his head. He starts doing all these turning and twisting, and there's twirling swirling, they're twisting everywhere, they collide, and man, they start going at it. I mean, you know, that cool fast-paced action, and you get some of the most gorgeous explosions we've ever seen with lightning, like there's purple smoke and gold smoke, and just, man, if you pause the sheer artwork, just everything visually look great as Goku and Jiren are going at it, and just all these really cool explosions, man. It's just very colorful stuff. Now, I really like how this next part is subtly built up. So you basically got, you know, members of the Universe 17 talking about how Son Goku, it looks like they're back in the same situation they were before. But Whis is taking a much more in-depth look at it, and you see on his face, he's basically just trying to figure it out. He's kind of got like the poker face thing going on. So in the fight, the really fast-paced action that we're seeing between Goku and Jiren, they're just going at it, and eventually Son Goku closes his eyes while still being able to dodge Jiren, and Jiren's, I mean, still being able to block all of Jiren's attacks, and that's huge. Look at that. Like, would you knowing someone of the power scale of Jiren, would you actually close your eyes? But Son Goku is able to do this. This means he's becoming more closer to what Migate no Gokui is all about, you know, self-movement, the mastery of self-movement, to where he doesn't have to think. He's just able to let his body freely go ahead and dodge Jiren's attack. So Son Goku in the fight with Jiren is actually learning, teaching himself just through the experience of fighting Jiren how to master Migate no Gokui, and this is why Whis goes ahead and smile, because he realized, no, the situation is getting better. Goku is teaching himself how to master this form, and I absolutely loved it, because I actually thought that Goku was going to actually get hit with that powerful attack by Jiren, and all of a sudden his body will just master it. So I actually really do appreciate that Toriyama or the writers involved decided to make it something where Goku would learn to master the form on his own while fighting. And everyone in the bleachers, you know, as the action is going on, are starting to recognize it, and they do this really cool visual where it isolates Son Goku's body, and his Migate no Gokui aura basically expands around his body, and Whis breaks it down in a very poetic way, basically stating how the heat from Son Goku's body is rising, and as we see in the fight, the aura further expands like gigantically, like even Jiren's engulfed in Goku's Migate no Gokui aura as he's facing, and he's basically saying how now Goku, he's basically going legit off of instinct, just the fight, being able to feel where Jiren's next, you know, movements are and everything, stuff like that, and this eventually gets Belmont worried, and he's basically just telling Jiren, just hurry it up, basically, you know, finish him off, because at this point, it's clear Goku is indeed mastering Migate no Gokui. So, at this point, Jiren definitely starts to realize, and he goes for a kick, and it basically expands Son Goku away from him. He starts firing up and has that flamey aura, and Goku is basically going through rocks, and basically Jiren starts unleashing a devastating attack that starts literally raining down on Son Goku. So, as things start to get intense in the bleachers, basically Lazui slash Juhachigo slash Artificial Human number 18 slash Sideboard 18, Piccolo, Krillin, and Teen Shinha are basically talking about how helpless it looks because Son Goku's on a rock and there's nowhere else to jump, definitely underneath among all the rubble, and Piccolo, he mentions that there's no time for Son Goku to use the instantaneous movement, and everything just seems to look hopeless, and you know, Krillin is just trying to say, you know, Son Goku, get out of there, you know, just jump somewhere, and you know, anywhere else so you don't fall out of bounds. And I love Beerus just says,
"You lot, shut up and watch."
And that basically shuts them up as we go right back to the action. So the attack that Jiren has sent raining down on Son Goku's coming down hard, and he has a, he gets into his powered up flaming aura state even more, and he's just really at this point trying to finish Goku. However, what ends up happening is the aura that Goku is using to block, it starts fighting back, you know, because at this point, Belmont and the rest of Universe 11, higher-ups are basically saying, yeah, they got this one in the, they've got this one. Goku, it's just time for Goku to finish, waiting for his strength to give up. But that's not what's happening. Goku's arms start shaking, and he is starting to basically power up, and he is starting now to have these sparks in Jiren's attack that starts basically exploding here and there and here and there, and it's clear that Goku is starting to definitely go from defensive to offense. So from here, Son Goku's aura basically completely wipes out Jiren's attacks. Big giant blue aura comes crashing right up into Jiren's gut, and Jiren does that what I call the humbled Jiren face, where his eyes get wide and his mouth is open, and Mr. Talking Trash Clown God in Universe 11 basically goes from 1% of confidence to 100 concern real quick as he goes, Bakana! Or as you guys will know, translated in English, impossible! Oh man, you gotta love that typical anime impossible line. Seriously, these characters make this mistake over and over and over, even though Vegeta had told him constantly that the Saiyajins, or if you prefer the Funimation way, Saiyans, have constantly surpassed their limits over and over and over, but yet Belmont must have just thought they were lying, thought they were just making stuff out of thin air, even though it's been right in front of his eyes. Yes, serves him right, that old clown-looking piece of trash. I mean, I just get so round up during these, every time in the series someone underestimates Son Goku's power and he proves them wrong. But anyways, Son Goku actually does a huge power-up, that old... And from there, creates like this. He didn't, but it looked like the aura power was so intense, like right under what's left of the stage, creates like his own universe or galaxy or something. He didn't, but that's the way it looked. So it was visually a really cool power up. Like, man, this fight is definitely this whole part of the fight was actually just so visually stunning. I can't say that enough. Just seriously, this aura is gorgeous, just blue and sparkly, and you end up having Jiren, who responds with his basically contrasting color, where he starts to basically bring the more warm, reddish, fiery tone power up, as he basically goes like,
Son Goku, the definite strike in the heat that you built to defeat me.
Then from here, Jiren smiles and says,
I guess I must respond.
So Jiren from here does a huge power-up that it looks like some gigantic supernova, pretty much like the sun, and, everybody's getting fired up. You got Belmont screaming at Jiren saying,
Do it! Finish Son Goku now!
And then Jiren basically compresses his whole supernova-looking energy and fires it at Goku and says,
It ends with this!
And the supernova-like explosion hits Son Goku. It's like gigantic compared to Son Goku's Migate no Gokui aura, and we start to see his eyes glow and his hair glows. The scaling here is that Goku's tiny little aura, in comparison to Jiren's big giant flaming supernova, just basically disappears, because Son Goku is able to damage it just like that, and the whole entire arena is cleared. So from here, Jiren basically is trying to figure out what the heck just happened, and from here, Noihito Sumitomo's The Final Death Match, which I believe is the official theme for, the part where it goes like, that stuff. So we find out that the reason that it looks like Jiren's supernova just completely disappeared is because the little tiny miniature little supernova ball that he sent to Son Goku, who is now in a completely glowing white, is just playing around with it, and he disperses it into nothing with like 2 fingers. From here, Jiren goes for a punch, but Son Goku's walking right towards him, and then it's like moving in slow motion. He quickly does a backflip or something and yells like a few punches on Jiren, and it takes Jiren legit off a guard, and he almost falls off the what's left of the stage. And Jiren getting mad, he does that whole eye thing, which, you know, hasn't really worked much to this point, and all it ends up destroying is a bunch of rocks, because, you know, he thought Goku was right in front of him, but Goku's so fast in his mastered Migate no Gokui form, he's able to just go right back, and only the rocks take the damage. Then we get bar none, one of the coolest acknowledgments of power we've seen in all of Dragon Ball. I'm talking when we see all the remaining gods that are left stand up to acknowledge that Son Goku has mastered Migate no Gokui. Now, I don't remember if early on in this arc if all of them were talking trash about Universe 7, but we know for sure that Bellmon was talking trash, and I'm sitting there like this as a fan. That's right, all of you stand, every single last one of you stand to acknowledge Son Goku's power, especially you, Bellmon, after all the trash talking he was doing. Man, this was just so humbling to see, because you knew he was talking trash all through this whole episode, so that was just really great for me as a fan to see Bellmon have to sit there and stand and watch Goku go ahead and knock his boy Jiren around. Speaking of knocking his boy Jiren around, Jiren goes ahead and fires up a flaming ore, and he comes charging right at Son Goku, who sees him clearly in his eye. Goku then stands with just his arm out. Jiren's like, what the heck? And then bam, 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 bam! Jiren gets messed up by Son Goku. I mean, he legit did not know what hit him, and it sends him into a nearby rock. This is the definition of epicness. You will, man, it is so epic. I can't explain. You have to see it for yourself. It's that old classic thing they do in anime where they try to show you how fast someone moves. So, like, you know, Goku's just moving so fast that it looks like he's standing still, but we see the impact on Jiren. Like, what happened? And then, bam, he just get hit with a lot. It is really epic. And then from here, the aura peels off of Son Goku, and he looks back, and we see the silver eyebrows, the silver hair, but most importantly, the silver eyes. Then Beerus and Whis have a slight verbal back and forth, starting with Beerus saying,
Whis,
yes?
Goku's finally reached it, hasn't he?
Yes. Beerus then does this weird smile, kind of like he's jealous, but super happy at the same time because he's happy to see Son Goku come this far. He says,
honestly, what an unbelievable guy. That form, that glow, that indeed is the complete Migate no Gokui / Ultra Instinct.
Obviously, I can't do it as well as they can, but just like Koichi Yamadera did an excellent job of delivering that final line of Migate no Gokui, I know Jason Douglas will do an excellent job, if not, I hope, just as equal to Yamadera's delivery when it comes to delivering that final line of Ultra Instinct in the Funimation dub. Can't wait to hear it. From here, the episode gives us the ending with our very first look at the mastered Ultra Instinct form of Son Goku. So my overall final statements about this episode, from a story standpoint, it really didn't deliver emotionally, I thought, for what I was, hoping, you know, to see, nor even in action, even from an action standpoint, I didn't really think it delivered in terms of being that all-out, just final classic brawl that you would expect to be like one of the biggest time fights, and, you know, I've always said that with this fight, I hope that it goes down in history as one of the all-time great Dragon Ball fights. I think we're off to a pretty good start, but yeah, pretty good start, but I don't think we've reached that point yet. Obviously, there are 2 episodes left, so we still got time. As I've mentioned before in previous reviews, some of my favorite all-time fights in Dragon Ball are the ones that are 2 episodes and everything, but also, you know, as a fan, I always like the emotional side of Dragon Ball first. You know, I always love the good messages that you can take and and you can apply those into your life and everything. And then, you know, from there, you know, comes next to fighting and what that fight represents. So I definitely do like the narrative, though, that they are telling with Jiren being all about absolute power, because everything that he's been through in his life, he just can't trust anyone. And that's the reason why he can't understand someone like Son Goku, as I mentioned in the last review, that I really liked how they were telling that dynamic, and Son Goku being the character who he knows what it's like to have friends depend on you, and he takes the trust that he has in his friends, you know, and he's able to use that to make him, you know, continue to move on and go to new heights of levels of strength and power, and all that type of stuff. So it's really cool when they're telling that story, and I think we'll get more of that in the next episode. But overall, just because it didn't deliver in all those aspects that I thought it would in terms of story and action, definitely doesn't mean, if you could probably hear how hyped I was in this episode, I definitely do think it's a really good episode. Highly recommend definitely checking it out. And honestly, definitely toward the end, I mean, we had no doubt got one of the coolest Son Goku moments we have ever gotten. Definitely something to really rank it up there with some of the all-time great moments. So definitely, I will be back for a review and hopefully discussion if the Linux virus is available for Dragon Ball Super episode 130. It is getting down to the wire, guys. So hope you guys all enjoyed. I noticed they haven't mentioned that 2 minutes left, so they're not even mentioning the 2 minutes. And let's not forget that Frieza is still in this. So until next time, guys, take care, and here are my plugs. So if you obviously are a fan of Dragon Ball, shonen manga, or anime adapted from shonen manga, make sure to check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception, as it's based on those types of genres. I currently have lots of videos such as the teaser trailer and the behind the scene interview videos right here on my channel, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as I release more content regarding Battle of Deception, Dragon Ball, and even WWE if you are a professional wrestling fan. And make sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at SONGOSHUAKU. All links will be in the description below. Take care!